Hi, I'm Echo.
And I'm Mozzy.
And welcome to our Hideout. This is our podcast where we talk about general media like movies, books, and music, other kinds of media as well. We'll talk about our hobbies and specifically writing as well. This is our space where we're able to just kind of hang out. It's a hideout from the world and any other kind of troubles going on. And we will be covering different topics each episode, like our different experiences with media and fandom culture, as well as our favorite books, movies, favorites lists, things like that. And then we'll have a discussion question each episode that we'll discuss and that we want to hear your opinions on as well. The Hideout is going to look different each episode because it is an imagination station and we get to make the rules.
So Echo, What does the Hideout look like today?
Okay, so I'm picturing treehouse vibes because I am too scared to like actually climb into a treehouse, but in the mind, there's no fear of heights. So it's a treehouse, definitely like blankets and pillows everywhere with string lights for sure. And then like I would say a hot cocoa station. I don't actually like hot cocoa, but there's like some kind of drink station that's like a cozy drink.
Hot cocoa? I'm sorry for interrupting your imagination station, but oh my god.
No, it's fine. It's okay. I drink it for like the aesthetic of it. I don't like hot drinks in general.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
They just all it's warm liquid. It doesn't, I mean, coffee is like, it has a really specific flavor, and like hot chocolate does too. Like they all have their own flavor. They just taste hot. I don't like the sensation. And so, but then like cold chocolate would just be like chocolate milk. And I don't like that either. So anyways, there is some kind of drink and snack station over in the corner. And then we're just hanging out. I got my spooky reads stack of books for the season that I'm actually like cozy and comfortable enough to like start reading. But then also you're there and we're hanging out in person and like we're chit chatting and it's great.
Oh yeah. For those of you at home, all 17 million of our listeners, because we're that famous.
Yes,
exactly.
Exactly.
We're listening at home, right? We are not together right now. We are
physically
apart by like thousands of miles. So.
Hang on. I will Google it.
You'll Google how far away we are.
1,306 miles.
So yes.
Yeah.
Several miles, give or take a few miles.
It's only a 25-hour drive. But anyways, yeah. So we're apart right now, but we are best friends.
Yes.
And yeah, we've been friends for 12 years.
Yes, officially. Summer of 2010. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we bonded over our love of period dramas and like books and all kinds of other things, and being writing buddies. Yes. Yeah, Mozzy has been my long distance writing pal for years.
Yes, indeed. And we're still doing that. We're still vibing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. It's been good. All right. So media roundup. I feel like I've been talking for a while. So if you want to go first, take it away.
Sure. Okay. So I have a very distinct addition to today's media roundup because I have been, you don't even know this because I wasn't like doing this the last time we spoke. So, but one of my friends recommended this show to me on Netflix and it is the worst show ever because I love it so much.
Of course.
It's called Love Between Fairy and Devil. Have you heard of it?
Okay. No, I have not heard of it.
It is like a Chinese fairy tale, like fantasy romance type thing. But like it's enemies to lovers. It's like full of tropes, but in the best way. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously, but there are parts that are really, really like intense and emotional, and it's so well done. It's very, very balanced, but it's also just like generally hilarious. So I very much enjoy that. It's very romantic. I also enjoy that. So it's just like it's everything that I want in a show. Also, everybody in this show is like so pretty. Yeah. So pretty. And I'm like, this is not fair to me. Yeah. Quite frankly.
That's like the same with like Korean dramas that I've seen. They'll have one character who's like, oh my gosh, she's so ugly. And like she wears glasses and has a pimple. And it's like, come on now. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah.
In this one, there's no such thing as an ugly person. They're just ordinary or whatever.
Right.
They're like nothing special. And I'm like, but they're so pretty. Right. Whatever. Anyway, it's so good. I've been recommending it to everyone that I talk to since I started watching it. So just like go watch it. It's so good. It's a limited series. I think it's 36 episodes.
Hold on. Limited series. I thought you were going to say like 10.
No.
30, 36. Okay,
so it's like one season. It's like one season, basically.
That's fair. Yeah, we forget how long seasons used to be. Okay, how long are each of the episodes, though? Because if that's like an hour per...
It's like 45 minutes per episode, yeah.
Okay.
On average.
And have you finished this in the time that the last...
No. I still have like 16 episodes, I think.
Okay. So you're like halfway through.
Yeah, ish.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I will check it out. So listen, when I say I'm going to check something out, it's with all sincerity, and I do believe it's probably really good. I am adding it to a list, and then we will see what my brain lets me get to in any given free time. But yeah, just wanted to clear that up of like, I do mean it. I'm not being like sarcastic or anything. Like I am literally adding it to a spreadsheet that I have of like things that I want to watch. So
right. I do that too. I do that too. I like add people's recommendations to a list on Discord in my personal private server.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. I mostly keep grocery lists in my personal Discord. Anyways, so...
Yeah, so what have you been up to then? What have you been up to?
I have been playing Minecraft.
Yes.
I was actually playing Minecraft the night that you called and we like started this whole journey. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time that I had played in a really long time. Because I just kind of got like out of it. I don't know. Minecraft is one of those games that like I don't play it for years and years and years, and then I'll come back to it and play it for like just nonstop. So I've been really into it, and then it also kind of doubles because I've been babysitting over the last couple of days, and like one of the things that they beg me to do is just watch me play Minecraft, which I am happy to oblige. And they're like, "Oh, go over there." You know, they like direct me where to go, and I've built them houses and stuff like that. But there's so many things in this game now. There's like panda bears and like I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. Axolotls is like the white people way of pronouncing it, but like those little fish things with the gills. Yeah, they have those. I think there's frogs, but I'm not sure yet. But I don't know. There's just so many new things that make it so much more fun. You can put like, there's like candles, you can decorate things. I don't know. There's just been so many new things in there that has been fun exploring. And then it's something that I do. So the other thing that I've been into, along with Minecraft, is that I've been listening to Quentin Review's Nickelodeon videos. Mm-hmm. Do you know about these?
No.
Okay, so Quentin Reviews, he's a really cool guy on YouTube. I like pretty much all of his content, even if it's stuff that I never grew up watching iCarly or anything like that. He has a 10-hour video about iCarly, and I've watched it twice.
Did you watch that?
No, yeah, twice.
Oh my god!
Like literally, so he has they're in two parts, but so he's covering iCarly, Victorious, and then he's in the middle of Sam and Cat right now. And he's just going through just the history of the shows. He's covering like each episode, and just like he reviewed all the like Victorious video games that they released on like the 3DS and the Wii and stuff like that. Anyways, so it's like a flood of pop culture information, but it's all coming from the time period of like when I was in middle school and high school. And so it's just really interesting to kind of see of like, I never watched Nickelodeon as a kid. So it's kind of taking a peek at like what could have been if I was a Nickelodeon kid, you know? Right, I don't know. Right. So, but I listen to those while I play Minecraft. So that's my like double multitasking
Nice.
Thing,
yeah. Some of my online friends, because, you know, post pandemic slash still in pandemic slash whatever weird limbo space we're in right now.
Right.
That was the time for you to like make friends online, right? So history lesson for our, 0.5 fans, right?
Exactly.
We have known each other for a very long time. We grew up together and stuff. So there's that. But also, apparently I have other friends too.
Yeah. No, you have other friends.
I have never met before in real life, but like they also watch the Victorious and iCarly thing, like, multiple times. They were just, like, watching the whole thing, and I'm like, how? Like,
right.
I can watch hours-long period dramas, but, like, I don't think I could sit through that. Like,
yeah. No, it's definitely, like, I have zoned out through a lot, which is part of why I've been able to watch it multiple times, is, like,
oh, okay.
I'm re-listening to the part of,
Right.
like, that I zoned out the first time. But,
right.
yeah. See, and I was making fun of you for the 36, 45-minute episodes, and here I am, so... Yeah. Long-form media.
Long-form media. That's like a big... Can you imagine that chonky beast, like, uploading that to YouTube? That'll be ready in, like, a week.
I don't even know. Yeah, I haven't uploaded stuff to YouTube in a long time, but I remember trying to upload, like, a 20-minute video, and I was having to, like, finagle the downloads to even, like, email it to myself so that I could get it to YouTube. Anyways, it's crazy.
Yeah. It can...
Yeah.
Depending on, like, how fast your internet is, it can be a really annoying thing. But...
Yeah.
Most of the time when I upload things, it's pretty fast, because I'll upload, like, little... Because on Discord you can't send, like, videos to people that are, like, more than, like, 1.5 seconds, basically.
Right.
Because they'll be too big. Your files are too powerful. And I'm like, shut up, it's not even that big of a deal. So I'll, like, upload it to YouTube on, like, a throwaway account. And then I'll be like, here's a link to that video, that, like, unlisted video that I wanted to send you that's, like, 30 seconds long. So that doesn't take very long, but it's still, like, annoying to have to go through the whole process of, like, the check system and, like, the copyright whatevers and, you know, whatever. It's kind of annoying, but...
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it's a cheat. I get away with it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, how fun.
Yeah.
Minecraft, like, I've never played... I mean, I have played Minecraft before, but, like, I never really played it myself.
Right.
Like, I've tried it out, but I've never played it. But, like, it sounds so, like... It seems so fun and, like...
Oh, yeah.
magical.
It's definitely one of those games you can make it what you want. Because a lot of people are like, oh, it's boring. You don't do anything. It's like, you do whatever you want, which is the fun part of it. Because, like, you can play it, like, survival, like you're fighting for your life. Or you can play it, like, I just want to build whatever. You know, I don't know. There's just a bunch of different things you can do in it.
Yeah. I will say it does kind of sometimes make me claustrophobic to go into the caves and stuff, even though I love exploring them. Yeah, because it's, like, first person or whatever. So I'm like,
that makes sense.
Oh my god, I'm so claustrophobic.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
I had a friend who refused to play any first person games because it made her dizzy. So that's interesting with the claustrophobia too.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, no, that just means it's immersive.
It's immersive, yes, indeed. Indeed. So on to the subject then of today's episode. Yeah, I know. I'm going to trip up and say this week every time. I'm going to try to say this episode because for our 14.5 million listeners, it is we're going to do every other week for right now. So that is the schedule. Cool. Yeah. So the topic we wanted to talk about today is NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. And kind of our experience with it, our history with it, and just our opinions and thoughts. TM. Yes. So NaNoWriMo, I don't remember exactly how long it's been going on, but I will say how long I've been participating in it. I think it's been 6 years now. This is my 6th year that I've been participating in it. I will say, in addition to that, I have never successfully written 50,000 words.
Aww.
So I'm not disappointed by that at all. That is just not a realistic goal for me, so whatever.
That feels unrealistic. Like, knowing how you write, not able to write 50,000 in 1 month? Because you write more words than I do.
I can't write 50,000 words in 1 month.
In 1 month, okay.
In a single month. I've written many more words than 50,000 words in my lifetime and in, like, one story, but, like...
Yeah.
In just
that is fair.
Days.
I forget, because I get that. Like, I forget the nano, like the pressure November puts on you. Because, like, you miss one day and then you're behind. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I retract my judgment. It wasn't judgment. It was surprise at, like, but you write a lot. Anyways, I retract that statement.
I mean, I haven't written in a hot minute.
But you wrote a lot. You're on a break. You're on a brain break from finishing your novel.
Yes. So, I feel like we should not necessarily introduce our stories, but I feel like it might be a good idea to kind of introduce ourselves as writers.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, you mind if I go first with that?
Yeah, go for it.
So, I mean, like, we knew each other before we, like, actually became friends. It's actually hilarious because we've discussed this before, where we, like, straight up did not like each other when we first met. Because I was an annoying, whiny baby, and Echo was, like, pretentious or whatever.
Insufferable know-it-all, yeah.
Insufferable know-it-all. That's exactly what you were. You were constantly going around telling us what our names meant, and I'm like, my name means something depressing. Thanks. Whatever.
Right.
Anyway, but now we're friends. We're besties. Yes. It's fine. But so when we, like, became friends, that summer of 2010 was, like, we discovered that we both loved period dramas, like Jane Austen-y type stuffs, and then also that we both loved writing. So we've been writing together for over a decade, and it's been a lot of fun and stuff. So I have a few projects going, but my main project right now is on hiatus because it's in the beta stage. So I finished the first draft, I edited it, and kind of pared it down a little bit, and now it's on to the beta stage. So I sent it off to a few people, including Echo. So we'll see when they get back to me. I didn't put a timeline on it because I'm, like, fine being away from it for a while. I'm feeling kind of iffy about it right now anyway, so...
About the story?
Yeah, about... not because I legitimately think it's bad, necessarily, but because, like, I just kind of... I'm in a weird headspace, so I'm like, I'm not really ready to kind of reassess things with it right now. Like, I need to break from it. So I'm working on a new novel that has been... So that novel that I was working on, The Lady of Winter, I've been working on for many years, for over 10 years at this point, I think. Off and on, but, like, specifically for the past 3 years. And so this new novel that I'm working on, I came up with a few years ago, and I wrote a little bit of it for NaNo of 2018, I think. But then I'm now kind of coming back to it with more fervor and more, like, specific interest in it. So I'm working through, like, a NaNoWriMo prep regimen, which is top secret, and I actually can't share it because someone else made it. But it's a whole thing. So I'm working through that, and then I will be drafting it come November. So that's kind of where I'm at. So where are you at, Echo?
With writing in general?
Yeah.
Okay, so I too finished a novel that I was working on earlier this year, because I'm competitive sometimes, and Mozzy was like, "Oh, I'm about to finish." I was like, "Well, that means I have to finish." Anyways, so I finished mine, it's a Frankenstein of a story right now because I wrote the first half and then wrote the second half, but the second half, like, relationships have changed. I've changed, like, names and stuff like that. Like, basically, by the time I was writing the second half, the plot had changed, and so now I have to go back and, like, stitch it together in a way, because, like, if you read the first half and then the second half, the stories don't match up, and so I have to go back and, like, fix it, and that's a big project.
Rip. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So because I have characters in the first chapter that, like, she's talking to the woman that raised her as if she's a stranger, and then in the next half of the book she's, like, actually describing the woman that raised her, like, properly, you know, like, where that... Anyway, so it's a big project, and I don't want to do it right now, so I'm working on mostly just organizing my other stuff. Currently, I have 49. Sorry. I have 49 stories.
You did not see how, like, intensely my eye roll there was.
Only 10 of them are active. I sort my stories. I sort them between active and inactive. So I have 10 that are active right now. So I'm mostly just trying to, like, organize notes and, like, figure out what I actually want to do next. I came up with one story the other day that's like really Halloween themed. So that was the one that I was thinking. I was like, oh, if I do Nano this year, it would mostly just be like sketching out that story so that I can just kind of get it over with, because after Nano, I probably won't work on it anymore. I'll switch to like a different project. But the other one that I'm working on, I'm really excited about. So yeah, I don't know. I have so many projects because if I'm not working on one, I'm working on the other, so I can still be like productive even when I'm procrastinating. So
yeah, I feel
that's my thing.
I feel that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, a lot of these stories are really old, and like some of them I'm never going to touch again. So like, yeah, 49 is a lot, but a lot of these on here are like dead to me forever. So it just depends on what I'm feeling that day. So
mood. I mean, I do generally have like I think I mentioned the title, Lady Winter. That project is the one that I've like worked on the most out of all of my story ideas, and I don't have 40 freaking 9, but I have like 10 plus that like you know, I've worked on at least a little bit, and that's not including just like ideas, that's including like things that I've done something with, you know. Started writing. Yeah,
that's fair. Mine is including anything longer than like a paragraph. Basically, I have stuff on here that's like an idea for like a movie screenplay or whatever, you know. So yeah, I just like to say the big numbers. So
I do not have that many, as many as you have. I don't think, but I still have a lot, and I like to have something to be able to like fall back on, you know. So while Lady Winter is resting and I am letting it just kind of marinate, percolate, whatever, I'm working on this other one, which I'm very excited about. Except for the problem is, okay, if we're talking about NaNoWriMo, there's an issue with it that I have. Okay. Multiple issues, but this one in particular is related to no one but myself. I wrote, in 2019, I participated in a Nano, and I was writing this story that was near and dear to my heart since I was like 15 or 16 years old, but like has gone through many iterations or whatever. And it just like is very personal. So I set it in basically my hometown, right? And like during that year, so like I was accurate for the weather and stuff every day that they like were having stuff. Like it was going on like basically live. I was just recording what was happening. Then I had to go to the hospital and had surgery and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and so like I didn't finish Nano that year, but ever since then, like the vibes of NaNoWriMo are so like now inseparably connected to that story that every time Nano comes around, I'm like, I want to work on that story. I'm like, dang it, I have other stories I have to work on. I don't know anything about that story except for that. I need to do it. So.
I think it's definitely fair. Like as grown-ups with capital G, capital U, unless grown-ups is one word, in which case just the capital G.
That was very grown-up of you.
Thank you. Listen, I'm a professional writer. I do not know like compound words or whatever. Anyways, listen, I street smarts. Mozzy is book smarts. Echo is street smarts. Okay.
Yes.
Anyways, hold on.
I love how you called me street dumb in the middle of that too.
It's not dumb. It's not dumb. Anyways. So I definitely think it's easier to have a project that you just work on for Nano and then you're working on something else the rest of the time, because Nano has so much pressure of like, you got to get it done, blah, blah, blah. Like it makes more sense to me to like have something that I'm just dedicated to for that time. And then I like either don't touch it for the rest of the year or I come back to it like way later. And like I have a foundation to build on that I built during Nano, but I don't know. I definitely think it's fair to like take a break from whatever you're working on, do one project for the month of November, and then move on to like go back to what you were working on. So I think that's fair. So if you want to work on this other story that you have, I definitely think that's fair to do, because it'll especially give you a break from your other projects too. Because I think that one story was, because I mean, obviously it was contemporary if you said it in like your hometown and everything, our hometown, hashtag. But like it gives you a break between, because Lady of Winter is fantasy and then you're writing contemporary, and it's kind of like giving you a chance to go back and forth and kind of see like what you've learned and where you've grown and stuff like that. So I say go for it if you want to. I say don't feel bad about abandoning other projecs. Like,
I'm not intending on like abandoning. The only reason why I wouldn't work on that story, I feel like I just have so many stories. Okay, the code name for that one is Sage Story. Because that's that was the one I remember. I don't know if I ever read any of it. I think you just told me about it a lot. Yeah, that's the one where she works at like, let's just call it where we worked, basically.
Yeah. Okay. And like maybe I'm thinking of a different, where like she walks home from school through a field or something like that. Is that the same one?
It's the same one, but like a different iteration of it.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, anyways.
Yeah. So that story, like, is super important to me, and I do want to write it someday, but it's one that I need to I need to have a really good handle on it in order to make it possible. Like, I need to do it right. Like, I mean, you need to do all of your stories right, you know, but this one is really important because it deals with heavy subjects and, like, important things that are important to me and, like, you know, all this different stuff. So I'm leaving that one for now because I don't know enough about it, and I don't really have, like, the mental bandwidth to, like, deal with it at the moment, which is annoying because I'm, like, I'm in the mood to work on it, but I'm also like, brain says no, and I will listen to brain this one time of my life. But, so the other story that I'm working on is called Sidekicked, and I told you about that one, but it's also contemporary, but it's like kind of contemporary fantasy-ish, like it has some fantasy elements to it. So I feel like it's a pretty good middle ground, and it's newer, and I haven't worked a ton on it, but like I have the interest in it currently, and also I have like I've been working on like nano prep stuff with it already. So I feel like I have a good head going into it, like into NaNoWriMo with it. Like I kind of have a good head on my shoulders right now for this particular story. So I think that's going to be what I'm working on for now. I will admit, I do have a tendency to kind of get like dive deep into my stories and just kind of like fully immerse myself in them for like years at a time.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's not necessarily bad, but like when it gets to the point with like with Lady of Winter where I'm just kind of like struggling with it, it hurts really bad when you are just so reliant on that to be like your source of serotonin.
That's fair. So, I mean, that's the same thing, like with a hyperfixation or whatever, where like you're like really into, I mean, at least for me, like you're really into a show or whatever, and then like it ends or something happens and you're not as into it anymore, and then you're like, okay, what am I going to do with my life, you know? Yeah, so I definitely get that.
Like, that was my hyperfixation for years. It still low-key is, but like it kind of hurts to think about right now. Like I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. And I just finished a big project for it. Yeah.
No, and like you definitely, because I read advice one time that was like, every time you finish a draft, you should take 2 months off. And I was like, 2 months? How about like a year and a half? You know, like, I don't know. It just needs to be enough time. Because like what I've been doing right now is I've been going through all of my stories and like writing up a synopsis for all of them so that I can just like have something to look back on and like kind of sort through. And I've been finding stuff that like, I haven't worked on it in over a decade, but I'm like, oh, hey, that story idea was really interesting. I kind of want to do something with it now. So like,
right.
But like at the time, cause like there was one story I was writing in middle school and I was like, every character in the story was based on somebody I knew in real life. And so
I remember that story.
It became troubling. I don't know. It just became like really frustrating. But like now, I don't know. I'm not in contact with any of these people anymore. So like, I can write a character who's based on this person that I haven't seen in 10 years, you know? I don't know. So I think giving yourself enough time that when you look back at that story, you're like, oh, hey, I remember that. I want to work on it again.
Right.
And that's a different amount of time for everybody, you know? It's not just going to be. And like, so I think you shouldn't feel bad if you need more time than you think you should need, that kind of thing.
Having finished a book like a fantasy novel that's new adult, right? I've definitely written more than 50,000 words, but in the month of November, I have never written a full 50,000 words for NaNoWriMo. So I don't know kind of like what your method is for Nano, like going into it every year, but my method is I never hold myself to the 50,000 words. I'm always just there to try and write every single day, and like, just to kind of build the habit and also have some community of other people who are writing at the same time going into it.
Yeah, the community is like my favorite part, even though I'm trying to get better. I'm like really introverted when it comes to like meeting people online versus in person, just because I feel like there's like a different set of etiquette. I don't know. You can't see people's faces really. So you can't, you don't, it's harder to know like when to break into the conversation, but I really like being able to like, to be writing it, you know, to find a community that like everybody's talking about the same thing or like talking about their goals and their progress and things like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I haven't done Nano like every single year. So 1 year I did cheat. Technically it was 2015, was it 2015 or 16. And I got to 50K by including notes that I had written for the story during the month of November, because that counted. And I was so close. I was at like 40 something. I think I was at like 43,000. And I was just so close to 50 that I just like, I went through all my notes and I counted everything that I had written about this story in the month of November and just like threw it into a document and added it as like the last chapter or whatever. And it got me to 50. And that was like the last day of November. Yeah. And I was so close. Really like, I've really only done Nano, 4 years. And none of them consecutively. But with each of the stories, I kind of went into it with not as much prep as I should have done, because I had been told of like, oh, you have to like start and finish a book like within the month. And so I was starting with a brand new story that all I had was like the idea and like the general outline. So then when I'm trying to write it, I get to a part where I'm like, oh, I don't know what happens. And then I get stuck and then I miss a day. And then, well, now you have to catch up. Cause I just got way too hung up on like the details of it rather than just trying to create the habit of writing every day, that kind of thing. Yeah, it definitely has tripped me up. But yeah, because when I write, I have to know, like, the way I've found that works for me for writing is writing the outline of the story, like, over and over and over again, because every time I write it, I'll find, like, a new detail or a new scene or something like that.
Right.
And once I know, like, the entire outline, like, so well, then I'm able to start actually writing it. But with that, like, there was one story where, like, I had come up with the idea and then immediately started writing it. And I had no idea. Like, I didn't have the characters developed. I didn't have the, like, full plot developed. I didn't know, like, who the bad guy was. I was just going off of vibes, basically.
Right.
And that was, like, really easy to just, like, lose focus and not be able to do it. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, not that I'm, like, not that either of us, but definitely not that I am, like, qualified to give advice as far as writing a NaNoWriMo goes, but, like, to anybody listening who is wanting to participate in NaNoWriMo, based on what we've said, I feel like it's really important when you're participating in Nano, if you want to have a successful Nano, to have, like, a game plan and understand how you write. So don't just, like, a lot of people go into it and they're like, I'm a pantser. And I'm like, are you, though? Maybe you need to plan a little bit. Like, I feel like most people are plantsters, where they have to plan a little bit at least before they go into stuff. So if you, like, don't plan anything, and if you have no idea what you're doing and you don't know how you operate as far as, like, how much you can write in a day, how much blah, 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 then, like, you're gonna fail in whatever goal you set for yourself.
Yeah, I just think it'll end up being really discouraging.
It'll end up being super discouraging, yeah.
You'll end up comparing yourself to others, because that's, like, a natural part of the thing. Is, like, it's not, I guess it is a competition. Like you get the novels that finish get judged or something like that. I've never made it that far officially.
I don't think they get judged. I think you just get perks.
Oh, okay. I was, like, literally the first time I ever heard about Nano was my mom being like, oh, if you write a whole novel in a month, you'll get a prize or something. I don't know, whatever. that was how I first heard about it. So I thought there was a competition to it. And so that's kind of how I went into it as well in the beginning. But yeah, I definitely think like...
There's certainly a competitive element to it, for sure.
Yeah, but definitely like being able to know yourself more. Because especially like I was always getting discouraged because I have a really hard time writing multiple days in a row. Like if I'll write for like 2 or 3 days in a row, but then I need a break just to like let things kind of settle. And so feeling like, oh, I missed it. Because Nano, the website, the way it's set up, at least the last time I was on it, it's like, oh, you need to make like 1,600 words every day to be able to meet your goal. And then you see that you've missed a day. And then it's like, okay, you need to make it up. And then it just feels like homework. And then that discourages me too. So yeah, I definitely think like knowing yourself, but then also like not being too hard on yourself too. Right. Just have fun with it. I feel like a lot of people, or maybe it's been just me, have like taken it way too seriously. Like it needs to just be like a fun writing exercise more than like a challenge type thing of I have to get this done. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think Nano, like the website is definitely set up for like a certain type of writer more than in others. So, so for me, I've already said this, I think, but like, I don't go into it with the thought of I will make it to 50K in this month. Because for me, like I write really slowly. All the stars have to align for me to be able to write anything ever. And it's like really annoying. Yeah. So it took me, I wrote, my first draft before I edited it down a little bit was like 155K, I think, for Lady Winter. And that took me 3 years to write. So I did not write, a third of that in 1 month. No way.
No. Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen. So like my goal is always just to like write every single day, no matter how little that is. And I try to like make it like do at least like 100 words or something, like some sort of standard. Yeah. But like, then there are times like I said, like I literally like I was in the hospital the last time not the last Nano, but like a couple years ago, and I like couldn't write because I didn't have access to my computer or anything. Also, I was in pain and stuff. So like you gotta give yourself room for like give yourself grace for like emergencies and stuff, or just like mental blocks or mental health issues and stuff. Like that's an important aspect of it. I think that people kind of fail to consider because they're like, oh no, I have to push through and do this. And I'm like, no one is really like looking at you and being like, you didn't finish Nano. Psh, lame. Like no one cares. This is a personal goal. And while you should be true to yourself and like uphold goals for yourself, you should also be realistic about what those goals should be. I'm very professional, and you can trust me because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, you're the one that's done Nano like all these years too.
Yeah,
like
I've done it every year since 2015.
Yeah. So I wrote down, so I did it in 2013, 14, 15, and 17. So 2017 was last year I even attempted to do it. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, after all of our advice, I personally think that Nano is more for, because I mean, we did all that advice about like know how you write before you start. But I also think Nano is for people that like haven't figured out what their style is yet. I don't know, because I feel like at least now I know my process a lot better now after having written pretty consistently over the last few years. Right. And so for me, starting Nano and being like, okay, you have to finish it within this month, that's like such a constriction on like my natural artistic process that like that just kind of ticks me off, and I don't want to do it at that point. So I feel like Nano was more useful for me as a younger adult and teenager.
It's definitely a jumping off point.
For just kind of learning of like, oh, this is what you need to do to actually write a novel. And like, it's not just writing a bunch of nonsense. Like you have to have like a plot and where it's going and things like that as well. Exactly.
It's a jumping off point, and it's like kind of the start of a community. I have like, I know Echo has like different kind of communities than I do, since we're just kind of like online a little bit separated. But I have like my own servers that are like specifically for writing stuffs with friends that I've gotten to know over the years. Not specifically through Nano, but we do Nano related stuff. And that like, but the thing is that like people who, I don't want to say people who are true writers, that's kind of stupid, but like when you're a writer, you're not just writing during November.
Yeah.
So like, this is like a good place to start. Or if you're like, oh, I have a project that I want to start, or I like want to take a month with community of people who are also working on novel related stuff to like work on something, a draft or editing or whatever. Like this is like Nano is a good spot for that. Is a good like opportunity to begin a project or like an arc of a project or whatever. And like, so you have like a finite amount of time and like a goal and everything that you want to work on. But like, you have to think beyond Nano in order for it to be sustainable. You have to be like, okay, I'm going to be writing until I finish this book, because I might not have finished it during Nano. I might not have, maybe the 50,000 words, even if I got that, it was not like my entire book, which most of the time it's not. Most books are longer than 50K.
Right.
And, so you want to think about like think about what Nano is teaching you in the process of like how you write and how you can be consistent when you're off the clock, off the Nano clock, if as it were, you know, like if you don't have this strict goal of in 30 days write 50K words, like what does your writing process and your writing rhythm and everything look like to you? And like, because like Echo said, like it's, you can write like a couple days and then you have to take a break or whatever, and that's like the thing for you. Whereas for someone else, it might be like, I really need to write consistently every single day, or else I'll lose my juice, you know? I'll just kind of, it'll fade. And that, like, it's different for every person. So take the opportunity that Nano gives you to kind of explore that for yourself and figure out what works for you, and make a goal to continue that throughout. Not necessarily as intensely as what Nano gives you or like encourages, but like maybe take the month of December off or whatever. You have holidays, you have traveling, you have whatever. That makes sense. But like come January, get back to writing, because it's important to be consistent, or else you'll never be able to accomplish those goals that you set for yourself. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing is like I finished my novel, the first draft, I finished it in like April of this year, I think. Yeah. Man, that was so long ago. Right. Yeah. But like, I finished it a while ago, and like I didn't finish it. Like I worked on it during Nano, but I didn't finish it then. No. And like, if I'd looked at that and been like, okay, I'm done with Nano, then I'm just gonna be done with writing until next Nano, then I wouldn't be done for another like few years, because I still had so many more words to write. So like, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling. I mean, I definitely am rambling, but like, I hope you get the point. Yeah, it definitely makes sense, because you have to have the carry through. Thank you. Beyond that too, because like I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at like the stories that I was writing for the few Nanos. Like I don't know. I just got kind of burnt out on them, and I didn't really. I mean, part of the problem for me was that when I started, I didn't know how these stories ended. So then when Nano ended, I was like, well, I don't know how to continue, and now I don't have the pressure of the timeline to like force me to think about it. But the stories that I did continue were the ones that I had. So the 1 year that I finished, I guess I cheated in a different way too, where like you're supposed to start it in November, but it was a story I had already been working on, so I already had like a good chunk of it written. Right. And my goal was just to write 50,000 words in November. It wasn't necessarily to finish that story, but that was the story that I continued working on because I had already been working on it throughout the year. I used Nano just to kind of like get into a more consistent writing habit. Right. And then I was able to continue after that too, because Nano wasn't just it wasn't the only time I was writing. Whereas, like, I don't know, these other stories that I was working on, like, definitely
in those years I was coming up with story ideas, but I wasn't writing consistently like I have been over the last couple of years. Like 2017 is the year that I came up with the most story ideas. But I was so like busy, and that was such a weird year that I wasn't actually sitting down and writing consistently. And so like, yeah, like, I don't know, I have like kind of my chart looking at, so like the years that I was successful in Nano was the year that I was writing consistently throughout the year, you know, and like the other ones, I was like, oh, hey, it's November, I should get in on this. And then it kind of fizzled out after that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely. So I agree with your point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nano's good for a lot of things, but like it comes down to like, you got to be personally responsible for your goals, your creative goals. So, and continue those habits that you've built during Nano throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But Nano's a good place to start if you kind of fall off the bandwagon or if you're starting a new project or whatever. So
yeah,
it definitely
and I definitely,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, and I think it's a good introduction to a writing community as well. Because, there was one year where, like, the local comic shop hosted, like, it was Halloween night, but it was, like, a midnight party of starting Nano where, like, everyone just got together and, like, started writing at midnight, and it was, a fun thing to do. So, I mean, that's, like, a fun thing. I mean, it gets you involved in, like, community, and there's, like, of course, online stuff as well. But, like, if you've never joined a community before, Nano is a good time to like start looking around because everybody's talking about writing, and it's a good place to kind of find people that have similar interests or like writing similar stories to you and all that kind of stuff.
I totally agree. It's a good spot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. That's what I would say about Nano.
Yeah.
Because, like, even though I haven't hit the 50K in the month of Nano or whatever, ever, and I don't think I ever will, just because of, like, I know myself pretty well writing-wise, so I feel like I can say pretty confidently I won't hit that ever. But I don't think I've ever had an unsuccessful Nano because I've gotten stuff done, and I've kind of kickstarted interest in certain projects, and I have I think I worked on The Lady of Winter 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2017. They were all like different iterations of the same thing, and it was like progress or whatever, but like it still helped me finish that draft, which was really important, even though I didn't like finish, like it still gave me success and it built me up and stuff. So I feel like I was successful in my NaNoWriMo efforts in that sense. Yeah. Because if nothing else, if you're not like doing the goal or whatever of 50K, or like you don't think you can finish that like me, some people, Echo, are like very fast writers and they can definitely do that. But not to say it's not hard. It's definitely effort, but you can do it. I believe in you. But even if you don't do that, like what Echo said, like the community is unreal. Like it can be so powerful to just have a community of people that you meet and that have similar goals to you and will be supportive of your work. It's awesome.
That's our opinions and thoughts, TM, on NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month.
That's November, by the way.
Yes, and it's in November.
It's November 2022.
There's an official website for it, but at least for me, like, definitely, and there's no cost to it either. Like, you don't have to, like, pay a registration fee. If anyone tries to charge you anything, you should kick them in the kneecaps. But, so you can definitely join. What I've done, there was, like, one year where I, like, quote-unquote did Nano, but I didn't go through the website just because I don't like how the website was set up with, like, the charts and, like, how much you need to reach and stuff like that. So even if you're just hearing about this for the first time and you don't want to like do a whole big to do with it, even just saying like, okay, in November, I'm going to set a personal challenge for myself, is still great too. Cause you're still a part of it and you're still making goals and things like that. So yeah, that's that. So the question we wanted to do for this episode was about our hobbies.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to kind of introduce ourselves a little bit more since this is the first episode. So, Mozzy, what are your hobbies?
Writing. I do nothing else ever.
Ever?
Ever. No.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
You draw. That's like your whole thing.
I draw. That's like... I feel like they're equally my thing at this point, but like for a long time I was more an artist than I was a writer. But I've done both like so much at this point that I'm like, it's the same. They're on equal standing right now.
Sure.
Except for lately I've been a lot more drawing because I just finished this big project, which I still need to show you, by the way, involving my Lady Winter story. And, like, I drew a bunch of characters in fancy outfits because I'm like that.
Oh, that's right. Did you get your new tablet pen or whatever?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
Because I draw digitally, so I have, like, a display tablet, so it's like a computer screen that you can draw on, which was a gift from my parents, so thanks, Mom and Dad, like, from years ago. And the pen broke. It's being, like, okay right now, but I got a new one for when it inevitably breaks again. I just don't want to throw it away until it's completely dead, you know?
That makes sense, yeah.
I don't want to, like, waste it. But, yeah, so I was working on that. So I do drawing, writing. We both, not to speak for you, but we both also, in addition to prose writing, we do, like, songwriting. Although I haven't done that, like, so much of late. I want to get back into it.
Years. As part of my project recently, I went through and like read a bunch of my old poetry and song lyrics and stuff. It's all terrible, but it was like inspiring. I was like,
it's good.
I don't know. I've been getting, when I say I'm getting into, it means I've been watching videos about it and thinking, oh yeah, I should get into that. But I've been getting into like collage making and stuff. And there's people that like write out song lyrics and do a collage around it. So I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. But yeah,
super cool.
Yes, Mozzy and I have written a few songs together.
A few songs together, yes.
Yes.
It's all water under the bridge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's like my main thing is, besides writing, is art. And what about for you besides collages? You have other stuff that you do?
Kind of like there's things that I do and then there's things that I want to do. So like I want to read more, but like it's hard to have time and energy and all that stuff.
It's so hard.
It is.
Like, I read every day, but at what cost? Like,
right. Yeah, my therapist, because I was talking about how I had a hard time sleeping, and they were like, oh, why don't you try reading before bed? And I was like, if I read before bed, I either have to finish the book, which means staying up all night, or if I like stop in the middle, then I have nonstop dreams about whatever was happening in the book. So that's not exactly restful. So
yeah,
I try like
reading is not relaxing. It's something that's like, it's fun. It can be entertaining and stuff. It can be relaxing, but mostly it's like it makes you think and it entertains you. So it's like not a great before bed activity. Like, it's better than like blue light, I guess, but also it like hypes me up, and I'm just like, right, what's gonna happen next?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to read more. Definitely, I noticed that I read more in the winter, which is weird. It's not like I have more time. I just tend to read more. So I'm trying to get into that. Nice. Otherwise, I'm usually playing video games or watching movies. I've been really into movies, and I figured it out the other day is because movies are like books, but you can watch like 3 in one night. And like, I don't know, they're a lot shorter. I kind of consider it like a book club, but it's not centralized at all. It's just it's a community I kind of stumbled into on accident where like, there's like 20 movies that everybody in this group has all seen and they all talk about all the time. And so I'm like trying to work my way through all of these different movies.
That's great.
Yeah, because I want to be a part of the community and like talk about stuff. So
nice.
I don't know. I'm working my way through all of that.
If you have any recommendations for movies, let me know.
I I would let you know they're all horror movies. So
never mind. I retract.
Yeah, never mind. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. So like a couple years ago, I decided that I was going to start watching horror movies, and it's basically opened up like this entire genre that I've never watched anything in. And so I've been going through and watching like all like the classics and just trying to find like what I like and what I don't like and things like that. So I've been really into movies, and I try. Like, I don't just watch horror movies. Like, I watch a bunch of other movies, too. But,
of course.
Yeah, I have a spreadsheet of over 300 movies that I'm trying to, like, work my way through. So that's kind of what I do. And then video games. That makes me sound like a gamer. But it's Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, and Minecraft, of course, and then Animal Crossing. Those are, like, the top 4 that I play. I'm trying to play other games, but I'm limited as far as like money wise. And I don't have like a gaming PC. So I keep trying to ask my brother, cause he put together like this whole big like Gamer Boy rig. And I was like, hey, can I use it? And he said no. So
yeah,
cause it's like,
they're very precious about cause my brother does the same thing. They're very precious about their turbine engine PCs that like glow in the dark and crap, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Cause like movies, I don't know if I want to like admit this on the internet, but like, so this is a statement of a fact. Movies can be accessed for free online. Whereas video games, it's a lot harder to find. And so movies is where I tend to congregate because it's a lot easier to just like boot up my tablet and watch like 3 or 4 movies at a time and then like blog about them all night. Yeah.
Movies can be accessed. Not that I do so, but they can be.
Yeah. I don't want to implicate myself in any illegal activities on the internet.
No. For sure. Yeah. You never admitted anything. We don't know the truth.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's my thing. Where like there's a bunch of games, and I don't want to watch like let's plays of them or whatever because I don't want spoilers. But anyways, it's complicated. So like my hobbies are technically reading and movies, but movies is what I end up doing the most because it's the easiest. So, yeah.
It's like, it's so funny. Like, I do not read books. Like, I read every day, like, different things or whatever, but I'm not, like, a novel reader.
Right.
It's so funny to me because I'm like, I feel like, you know, all those memes you see about readers online? Like, I totally fit all of those, except for the fact that I don't read. And I need to read more. I recognize this. I'm a writer. I need to read more.
I know.
It's just, like, so hard for me to kind of get in the mindset to, like, actually sit down and read. Like, I have my favorite book next to me, next to my bed, and I'm like, I have it there. I could read it every single night if I wanted to. And I do want to. But I'm always just like, I can't do it. And I'm like, it's my favorite book. I read it every year. I haven't read it this year yet. So I need to read it before December.
We should read it together. I want to because I need my own copy. So I'm writing that down.
Yes, you should get your own copy. By the way, the book is Book of 1,000 Days by Shannon Hale. Okay?
Yes, it's really, really good.
It's amazing. It's my favorite book of all time, if you didn't hear that. It's so good. I recently got one of my friends to read it because I was like, hey, where's your address? I want to send you a gift. And then I sent her the book.
Nice.
To read. I mean, it was nice. Like, I sent her, like, I drew a little print from the book, like a little picture of the book or whatever. Like of the characters, I mean. And, like, some candies or whatever. Like, I gave her basically, like, a homemade book box, and she loved those because she's, like, a big reader and stuff. So, like, it worked out. It was fun, but I was like, this is low-key a very selfish gift, but, like, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, okay?
More people need to share my favorite thing. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly, because it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was our thoughts and our questions. Definitely let us know what your favorite hobbies are, or the hobbies that you want to do, and then the hobbies that you actually do, because both are valuable and interesting. And I want to know if there's like other things I should check out. I'm like kind of in a phase right now. I was kind of in like a transition period of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And so I'm trying to like try out different things, like that collage art I was talking about. I was like, I'm trying to get into like dumpster diving And like, I'm just doing like random stuff. So if there's any hobbies that you guys have that you are really into, I want to check them out. So
thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed hanging out with us, and we would like to hear from you. Please let us know about your hobbies and about your NaNoWriMo experiences and stuff. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. Right, Echo?
The Hideout. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Adios.
Bye.